Today we're doing something that we've done a lot, but I think I'm going to give more detail on why I'm doing it. So we're doing a post forward kit on this sled. Why do we do that? So one, well, obviously moves this steering post forward. That gets you further forward on the sled, which on the skidoos can be an issue, right? So for me, what it does is it helps keep the front end down. It gives me a better control angle, in my opinion. And it really just makes it easier to side hill and maneuver the sled. Just overall stability. So we're gonna go through the steps of how to do this. First thing we gotta do, we have to take off the side panels, the hood, because we got to get to the steering post. So we'll take those off, get to that point. If you don't have one of these, or if you're curious where to get one, Brett Rasmussen has them on his site, and he ships out really fast. So that's where I get them. Great dude, amazing rider. Like, I took his clinics and they're incredible. So we're gonna get going. This is a friend of a friend's sled, so try to turn this out because, well, you know, I might have a few sleds in here that need to make some room. For what? I don't know. What do I need room for? I don't know. Nothing really. More sleds. I guess it'd be nice to park my truck in here because the mornings are getting cold. Anyways, let's get going. We'll get the time lapse going and we'll have this done in no time. Construction across the street, so hopefully it's not too loud. One thing I forgot to mention, you do have to take this cover off that's below the screen here. So it's important to take that off, otherwise you can't get to the two of the 4 bolts that are holding the hood on. They're here, here, and here, which I'll show closer here in a second. And then here, the other thing, the same place is here on this other side. The other thing you're gonna have to do is you have to loosen the boot, the intake boot here. It's just a Phillips screwdriver. You just loosen that up. And then what I've been doing is I forget to tighten that. So I take a bungee cord, little bungee cord or something, you know, and I just put it over the throttle cable. Because that way, I'll be like, why is this on here? And then boom, I remember. So let me show you this here. This is where they're at, here and here. Then you're gonna disconnect all your wires here. He has this Trail Tech, so it looks like he's getting power from here, so we'll have to disconnect that as well. And then maybe some other stuff for that. I'm not sure because I didn't put that on. So, but you won't, unless you have a Trail Tech, you'll just have this one and this one to disconnect. So we'll go back to the time lapse and keep going. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Nope. So after we get the hood off, then we'll lift up the sled just to make it a little easier on me. You can do this totally on the ground though. All right, now that we have the hood off, one thing, you have to push on these right here to get them to release, okay? If they don't come, sometimes using a little screwdriver help pop that down. So same here, so we gotta unhook this, and that pops off. This one, you have to push right there. Let me see if I can zoom in. You have to push right there, and that will get it to pop off. This one sometimes I have to use a screwdriver for. Nope, got it. Okay, even though those are both unhooked, you still have to take a bolt off back there. It's like an 8mm. I'll get that and double check, but then we have springs. You have 4 springs up here hooking your pipe to your turbo, and then you have 4 springs down there hooking your pipe to your engine. I'm going to show you, there is, in my opinion, a secret to getting those off. So I will show those when I get to that, but right now I'm going to grab this 8mm and we're going to pull that off. Let me just double check and make sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, unless they changed the size of it. Yep, 8mm there. We pull that off, then we're gonna get this pipe off, and I'll show you how to, kind of the tricks I've found for getting those springs off. Oh, I found a stick. That's cool. All right, got this little phone holder on. So, okay, this is something you're really gonna want, a spring puller. Just makes it a lot easier. You can do it with something else, a piece of rope, probably something like channel locks or something, but this tool really makes it easy. So it's got this hook on the end, and you just hook it in here, and you pull, you know, put your hand in the loop, or I usually hold here, don't know why. Pull, and then you take the springs off. Don't lose your springs, don't let them shoot around everywhere, okay? Down here, these ones are a little trickier. So here I'll kind of pull and pull, but I pull this way and like push and pull. Like that. And then I've got this one last one here. Kind of go in like this. Get in, same thing, pull, push, like that. Okay, so we're off there. And try not to drop this. So these springs, you can kind of just let them rest like that. Like, just let them rest down. But I always try to take them off that way they don't jiggle. You get something under the engine of this sled, and it will take forever to get them off. Okay, so now, these are the tricky ones, okay? You go in for this one here. I usually brace myself against the bumper, like my stomach. Pull out, you lift up, spring off, okay? Boom, spring. So you'll see a difference. There's a difference. These springs are like tapered, and these are flat. They're also longer. So the engine springs are the ones that are kind of tapered like that, and a little bit longer. Okay. This one. Okay. There we go. Okay, that one you just kind of pull again, straight out like that. Okay. Now, this one. Okay. You come in down from the top. Let me see if I can get it. No, wait, this one, sorry. This one, you come in again from the top, or from the side. The front. Front, that's the word I'm looking for, front. Okay. There, I'm on. So this one, I came with the hook like that, and then again, just bracing myself against the sled, pulling, and it's off. So there we go. This next one is the one that I use a trick on. Okay, because you can't get to it from the front. So I go straight down, Okay, so I'm straight down and I've hooked it in. Now I'm gonna use this as a lever. So I'm gonna push back and then over. Okay, that spring is off. Sorry. Now, don't lose those down under the engine, like I said. Okay, the springs are off. Everything is disconnected here. See, so this module comes with the pipe. You don't take out these bolts because these two, because I've seen where if you take these out, exhaust will just blow out and melt your sled. Same there. So just leave those in, unhook this stuff here. Now we're just gonna remove the pipe. It's just as easy as taking it out. There is, on the bottom, there's a rod coming out from the chassis of the sled onto the pipe. So you just kind of have to pull the pipe back. So we're off the engine, now we're just on that pipe down there. So you just kind of have to work it back. And sometimes it's a little tricky, you can see it down there. To get it off, that one I kind of tipped it down. So we're off, now you just work the pipe out. Okay, pipe out. So now we'll go set this down and get started on the next thing. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna take out this top bolt here, is a 10 millimeter. I'm gonna show you a trick with that, and then we're gonna take out these down here, and then also the tie rods here, we're gonna unhook those. Because with the turbo, we use a different steering post, okay? So I'm gonna put it on time lapse. I believe those are 13s. Let me just double check right now. Oops. Obviously, I picked the wrong drawer, so that was sweet. Here's our 13. Yep, 13. These back here are also 13s. So yeah, we'll take all these off. I'm just gonna time lapse it. I'll come back and show you the trick I use back here. It's more for putting that back on. I will show you that in just a minute. All right, I don't know if you're able to see. Let me see if I can zoom in here. Took the steering post off. That is just 10 millimeter bolts. I loosened them enough so that I can get an impact on. Okay, now everything is unhooked. The steering post is loose. It's kind of a pain in the neck to get out. So what I found is you just start twisting it and lifting and twisting and lifting, and then sometimes you have to go back the other way and twist. Nope, that wasn't the right way. Because you got all these wires and things here. You just gonna have to twist out of, and if you're doing it, you will know what I'm talking about. Okay, twisted, twisted, lifting, lifting. Almost got it. Okay. Like I said, just twist and lift. Same thing going back in. But yeah, it's out. So now we'll get the new post forward kit. Basically what it is, it's a new piece here and a new piece here, so that we can rock it, and then a new steering post. It's actually the NA post. So we'll get that and keep cooking. Okay, here's your old steering post, and here's the new one. Oop, I'll flip it around so it's kind of the same. So you'll see this one's all spaghettied. This one's just straight. So we'll, this is like how they pointing in the same direction. So drop this one in, kind of doing the same thing, just twisting, twisting, twisting. Just so that we don't have to fight as much, getting everything out. And actually, I'm trying to remember, we may have to cut that zip tie, those zip ties anyways, but there is a lot of other stuff down here you definitely have to twist past. To get through. So like where I'm at right now, so by the pipe and by the turbo oil bottle. So this is kind of where we have to do a lot of it. Oh, I didn't put this early enough. I need to go in the other direction. Try to get past that. I need to just cut this zip tie. Hey, it's been like a year since I've done one of these. So we'll cut this zip tie. You can always put new zip ties back on. That zip tie's cut, that'll make it a little easier because we can get a little bit more angle up. Okay, past it, so now just twisting, twisting, and we are in. So the other thing is you want to make sure that the part that holds your tie rods is pointing to the back, so you can hook your tie rods into there. That's kind of the only thing. Now we'll just put in the new kit, which are the new mounting brackets. These are your new mounting brackets. The long one goes in the top, bottom one goes in the bottom, or the small one goes in the bottom. There are 3 different mounting spots, A, B, and C, just to get you different positions. So we'll get these in and get cooking. I put the top bracket in first. I like taking off the outside of it so that way I don't have to take it and risk losing those screws down inside. So we'll set that to the side, and we will grab our bolt that goes across there. Cut to me finding the bolt right where I left it. So I'm going to stick this in. We're going to put it in the C spot, just so that way we're getting the most forward that we can. So just going to lift that out, slide that in. Okay, you just have to wiggle it until it's in. Now we're going to put the nut on the other side. Not tighten it down because I want it to be able to move and kind of self-align as I get the bottom bracket in. But I just want to put this bolt in there so that nothing happens. So here's the trick I'm going to show you that I do with this is I take just some blue tape, or you can use paper, just something that's going to fill up this this wrench. So I put it on like that, and then you put your nut in, and then I don't know why, but I tear off the excess just so it's not getting hung up on stuff. But now we're not going to lose that nut until it's ready to come out. And then we'll grab this. I'm just using the socket on the extension, and line it up there. Okay, just hand tight. It did take some of the, yeah. So now when we go back to tighten that, it's already in there. You don't have to worry about falling off. You just have to remember to tighten it. This is just something I like to do. You get two plastic, you may call them bushings, that go around your steering shaft. They're split in half. I put a little bit of grease on the inside, just because that your steering post is going to be moving in there a ton. So just a little bit of lubricant to keep that going. I think it was on the instructions to do this with like the XM. So grease on one. Grease on two. So we'll take these, and yeah, I mean, you do want to make sure that they fit around your steering post, because every now and then, not very often, you have to trim a little bit off. And these fit on great, so you don't have to worry about that for this one. Okay, now I'm going to take the outside bracket, and then just kick this on the floor. Okay, here. And I'm just going to do this not all the way on, just loosely, and we'll go through and put Loctite on them. But this way we're just holding it in so we can get everything lined up and it's held in place. You could wait to do this to tighten these up till later, but I'm not, like I said, if you see, I'm just spinning them in a little bit, and then we'll come back through, pull these all out, put Loctite on them, and then tighten them down. Okay, I'm really only going to go tight, not tight, but like snug, with two of them on the corners, and then these two will be loose. So now we got to get the bottom one. All right, same thing with this one. We're just going to test it and make sure it fits. Down here, you could do this before you put it in. So that fits on there really nice. So we're going to go ahead and just put a little bit of our grease on here. I'm using like Skidoo grease. It's the low temp, so I just got it here. And if you do need to sand these down because they're too big and they're hitting and they won't close all the way, you just take really high, really fine sandpaper, set it down on a table, and just kind of swirl these on there. I've only had it happen once where I needed to do that. And you just sand it down, just this part. And then sometimes there'll be, because this has to go into that, the bracket on the bottom of the steering post. So I'll show you on this here. And so sometimes it won't fit in there too, so you just, whatever part you need to get clearance on, just get some real high grit, real fine sandpaper, and just put it on something flat so you're getting a good coverage with that, and then you sand it down. Because I'll show you on this stock one, it goes on the bottom here in this bracket. In these, there's like two grooves here. Let me see. Okay, like here and here, it goes in between there. So I've had it once where it was too big and then too big around, so I had to just sand off those pieces to make it fit. But yeah, so now I'm just gonna put those bolts in, the bottom, and then the top we're just gonna pull those out and put medium strength Loctite on them, and then we will go to that point. I'm gonna do time lapse because it's really like You just put these around it. You take the bolts that you took out, put them in. Let me show you one more thing here. So yeah, I just put these bolts in. I put the bolt going this way just like it came out. So the bolt goes from the bottom belly pan up, and I'll show you this when I'm done here. And I just keep all my nuts and bolts in the belly pan of this, in the front part of the belly pan. You keep them wherever you want. You won't lose the nuts and bolts unless you get like real crazy. You won't lose them in this area. They'll just be here. They'll be easy to find. So yeah, I'm putting it up this way. You, on your stock one, on the plastic, the back piece, you will have this. I don't put this back on. You don't need to. This is just to help strengthen that plastic. So yeah, we'll get the time lapse going. I'll show you this real quick here, or when I get this all together, we'll go over everything. So we'll just get cooking. So the things that happened, one, we put these bolts in, holding in that bottom bracket, okay? We reattached tie rods down there, see them? Reattached those two. I put the bolts in from the top down. Then we took these out, put Loctite on them, tightened them up. And then we tightened up the bolt holding this in, that 10 millimeter right there. The other thing I did was you want to make sure that your riser and your steering post are in line. Otherwise, you're going to get like weird oversteer and understeer. So put that on, snugged them up, tipped it up, because you can snug them up a lot faster when it's tipped down. Once it's just enough so you can move it, got it straightened up, and now that's in line. So we have our bars back on. This portion is done. Okay, it's really easy, this part. So the next part's the part where we have to cut stuff. So let me just make sure we got everything covered. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, and then, oh, yes, one other thing. You want to make sure that the skis turn easy. I've had it before where they will, the bottom bracket is too tight and they'll hit. So you have to just not crank it down. This one was fine. So we were able to tighten it down. But yeah, look at that. Nice movement. Skis go full lock out each side. And we're just ready to now cut there's two pieces we have to cut. So this, I should have said this earlier, this is specific to a Gen 5. Gen 4, much different. We'll do another in-depth video on that. But Gen 5, this is what you have to do. Much easier than the Gen 4 and was it ZX. So you don't have to cut the airbox. You don't have to mold the airbox on these. You just have to trim a little piece that holds the clips that these guys go to. So we'll do that now. I'll go get that and we'll get it cutting up. Okay, for this next part, we're going to use these. So what we have to do first is we have to pop these out because we are going to cut this out, this section out, okay? How we're going to do that is first we're going to use this hole saw. We're going to cut around here and around here. Then we're going to use this knife. Use any utility knife. I found these work really good. We're going to heat it up, and that's going to make this cut really easy. We'll just connect the two hole saw cuts, and then there's a lot of test fitting. You're going to cut and test, fit until you have it fitting just right to where everything clears here. We don't have a bunch of stuff hitting or pinching, and you have the clearance you want. And then so you'll heat up the knife, you'll cut it. When you do heat up the knife, one trick I've seen is you don't want to have this over something that you don't care if it gets burned or gets a chunk of plastic on it, because you will get plastic residue on the blade. When you heat it up again, it drops. It'll like drop little smoky fire plastic molten pieces down. So don't have like a bare foot below it. Don't have something you care about. I always just do it over the cement so that those things fall on the ground. Once that's done, then we'll cut the next piece, but we're going to cut this first. I forgot to talk about getting these out. I'm going to use this little tool because I have it, and just put it under and pop that out. You can also use a screwdriver and pop them out, or the pliers and needle nose and pop them out, just depending on what you have. All right, as you can see, we have this cutout here. I also took these little clips off. You probably don't have to, but I don't know. I just think it cleans it up. To do that, you just get a little screwdriver, pry up this part, and they slide out. The other thing I did was it was throwing a lot of like rubber chips around, so I just covered the inlet to the outlet to the airbox, so none got down in there. So we're gonna test fit this piece. If it fits and everything's good, then boom, we're done with this one. If not, we'll come back, we'll keep trimming some more. We may need to go down into here. So I'm gonna set up time lapse and I'll just be test fitting or just putting it on. If it's good, then I'll pull it back off. We'll finish putting the pipe on and hooking everything back up. And yeah, so we'll catch up when it's the time to cut the next thing. Putting the pipe back on, I'll cover this right now, is, here, I'll take you over here. You do the exact same, kind of the same spots on here as you did to take it off. So most of these ones here, you pull from this spot, except for this bottom one. You use this A-pillar to, I don't know what they call this crossbar as leverage to pull the spring back and hook it on. And then all the ones up here on the pipe or on the turbo, you just hook them through on the back here and then attach them here. All of them, I guess, and this probably goes without saying, but all of them you hook onto the fixed points first. The Y pipe and the turbo, you put the spring on there first and then pull it. So yeah, just the opposite of what we did to put them on. So yeah, we'll go to that point. We'll be back and talk about the next piece we're going to cut up. We have all the springs on, and often what I'll do is I'll pre-hook them on the puller before I put them in, just so you don't have to find that and you can keep a little bit more pressure on. On this one back here, this one's hard to get in, that spring down there. I had to kind of like, I had put it on and then I had to roll the puller off, kind of a little bit on this bottom one too. Also, you want to go through and make sure that the springs are all the way on. Occasionally, the end of the puller has that little notch right there on it. I'll put that over the spring like that, and then kind of tap it down to get the spring on, or you can kind of grab them and squeeze them, but you can't pinch yourself doing that. So just make sure to do that. Get them on all the way. Hook up your sensors here, and now we're ready to move back here. One thing that I'll do often is I'll put these back behind here so that they don't get in the way of putting the hood on, because they can get pinched in between here, and then you can't get the hood on. Also, I like to set the hood here, the two pieces that stick out. I set them here and then kind of glide them down in, because you want to lock them under here, and then just make sure you're locked into here, because a lot of guys I've seen, they don't have this part in and it kind of sticks out. I don't think it really matters, but to me it does. I like having it tucked in, keeping it tighter, and I think it looks better. That's how it's designed to be. Probably could take impacts a little better. I don't know. Keep it from flopping up, I guess, more than impacts. But yeah. So we are ready to put the hood back on, and then we have the one last piece to cut. So I'm going to get this hood back on, and then we'll talk about the next steps. So we'll go back to the time lapse. Piece of this is we need to trim this out. So this is the little shroud that covers in front of the steering post. So we need to cut all of this out. So I'm just gonna use the hot knife, and we're just gonna start trimming. Just gonna kind of cut this little finger gripper part out, and then kind of just make it straight back to there. And we'll just keep test fitting like we did for everything else. And so I'll start the time lapse. We'll just be bouncing back and forth. Cutting, testing, cutting, testing, cutting, testing. Yeah. All right, we've got this on. So you see we just trimmed that out so it fits in there really nice. So we moved it forward, and now we are ready to roll. Yeah, it was good I put that bungee on. Well, it fell off, but I saw that and I was like, oops, yep, we got to tighten up that airbox boot. So yeah, this sucker is ready to go. If you have any questions, ask me. A lot of guys will, I've noticed when they put this on, well, and you guys know I'm a huge proponent, or I like having lower bars, but they'll put these on and then they'll be like, oh, my bars feel like they're too low. But so now you're able to get a lot closer. You're able to get a lot closer to the front of your sled without crowding the bars. So, yeah,